The kitchen table. The story of my family is written in the sense of a kitchen. It is etched in the fine white lines on my mother's Formica tabletop, stains from turmeric and beetroot that refuse to fade, and the shallow dent near my father's seat where his wedding band would tap, tap, tap as you listen to the evening news. It's a story that, for the longest time, had a central, unwavering character. My brother, Leo. Leo was born with a heart that was both metaphorically enormous and physically fragile. A congenital defect meant his childhood was a map of hospital corridors, a lexicon of medical terms that became as familiar to us as grocery lists. Oxygen saturation, cardiac catheterization, prognosis. My parents, Maria and Antonio, poured every ounce of their love, energy, and modest savings into that small, brave heart. Our world bent around his needs. Vacations were replaced by careful staycations. My mother's dream of returning to college was folded up and tucked away like out-of-season clothes. My father worked double shifts at the auto shop, coming home smelling of grease and exhaustion, but always with a smile for Leo. And I, Sophia, learned to be quiet, not resentful, but observant. I learned to make my own breakfast, to walk myself to school, to find solace in the reliability of books and the quiet hum of the refrigerator. Our love for Leo was a given, a sun around which we all orbited. It was just the way of things. The biggest slice of cake, the newest winter coat, the last of the orange juice, it was all for Leo. He needs it, mi vida, my mother would whisper, her hand stroking my hair. And I understood. He did need it. His smiles were victories, his steady breaths a collective relief. Our family scripture was written at that kitchen table. It was where we celebrated when Leo was declared stable enough to school. It was where my father napped, head on his arms, while a pot of beans simmered. It was where I did my homework, the radio playing soft salsa as my mother rolled out empanada dough, her movements a gentle, flowery rhythm. The kitchen was the heart of our resilience, a room fragrant with garlic and hope, where we fortified ourselves for the next day's battle. Then I met Ben. Ben was a seismic shift in quiet shoes. He was a graphic designer who loved jazz vinyl and grew tomatoes on his fire escape. He was solid where our family was frayed, calm where we were chaotic. The first time I brought him home for dinner, I watched him navigate our atmosphere like a natural sailor. He didn't flinch at my mother's anxious fussing over Leo's plate. He simply asked my father thoughtful questions about carburetors. He helped me clear the table, and when our fingers brushed over the sticky rim of the flan dish, I felt a sense of peace so profound it nearly buckled my knees. We married a year later. Ben moved into my tiny apartment, and we began building a life that was delicately, beautifully ours. We had our own kitchen table, a second-hand oak one we'd sanded and stained ourselves. But the gravitational pull of my family's table remained strong. Sunday dinners were non-negotiable. We'd arrive to the symphony of sizzling onions, and my mother's voice always pitched a note too high. Leo, now a shy teenager, would give Ben a careful fist bump. The change didn't come with a bang, but with a series of small, almost imperceptible clicks. Ben's company began a new project requiring stringent security clearance. It meant paperwork, background checks, and finally, a government-issued ID card for access, a simple plastic card. He showed it to me when it arrived, sliding it from its official envelope. It had a terrible photo, as they all do, and his name in bold letters, Benjamin David Miller. He slipped it into his wallet behind his driver's license, and that was that. The first ripple was a Sunday in October. The air was crisp, carrying the smell of fallen leaves and my mother's sancocho. We were all at the table, steam fogging the windows. My father was telling a story, his hands carving the air. Leo was on his phone, a mild rebellion my parents allowed. Ben's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, and excused himself, walking into the living room. His voice was a low murmur. My mother's spoon halted mid-stir. "Everything okay, Ben?" He came back, his face placid. "Fine, just work. They need me to remote in for a quick fix." My father nodded, a man in demand. But a new thread had been introduced into the tapestry of our Sundays: work, an external world with claims on him. The claims grew. A Saturday planned for helping my father fix the porch steps was canceled because of an all-hands security briefing. A Tuesday night phone call that pulled Ben into a hushed, urgent conversation in our hallway, leaving our own dinner to grow cold. The plastic ID card in his wallet was a key that kept unlocking him from our moments. The true fracture happened on my mother's birthday in February. We'd planned a surprise: just family, her favorite pastelone, and the giant frosted cake from the Cuban bakery she never bought for herself. Ben and I were in charge of the cake. As we were leaving our apartment, his work phone rang. He listened, his face tightening. Now, I'm literally walking out the door for a family event. A pause. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Understood. I'll be there in 20. He looked at me, his eyes full of a genuine anguish I'd never seen before. Saf, it's a system breach. A big one. They're locking the whole building down. Mandatory physical presence for the team. I have to go.
The cake box in my hands felt suddenly leaden. But it's her birthday. It's 20 minutes. I know. God, I know. It's not a choice. It's the protocol. The card. If I'm not there, they can revoke my access. The project. He trailed off, already mentally gone, calculating traffic routes. I went to the party alone. I made up an excuse about a last-minute client emergency for Ben. The lie tasted like ash. My mother's smile when she saw the cake didn't quite reach her eyes. "He works so hard, your Ben," she said, but it sounded like an echo of all the times she'd said, "He needs it, mi vida," only now the he was different. Later, as I helped her wrap leftovers, she said softly, without looking at me, "You spend a lot of time alone now, don't you?" The question undid me. It wasn't an accusation, just a mother's observation. That night, lying in bed, waiting for Ben's key in the lock, I felt a lonely, hollow anger. My family had given everything to Leo's fragile heart. And now Ben's identity card, that small, impersonal piece of plastic, was taking my person. It felt like a cruel trade, one heart for another. The Cold War thawed in an unexpected way. Leo, now 17, was going through a phase of intense curiosity. The medical mysteries of his own body had sparked an interest in science. Ben, in a rare, unguarded moment over leftover arroz con pollo, had mentioned something about encryption algorithms. Leo's head snapped up from his phone. Like unbreakable codes? Ben, surprised, nodded. In theory, it's about layers of complexity. For the next hour, they talked. Ben, for once, didn't check his phone. He drew diagrams on a napkin. Leo asked questions that were startlingly insightful. I watched my mother watch them, her eyes soft. My father tapped his ring softly on the dent in the table, a contented rhythm. Later, as we drove home, Ben was quiet. Then he said, "He's a really smart kid, Sophia." I know. I never really saw it before. I just saw the patient. The next Sunday, Ben brought an old, dismantled computer for Leo to tinker with. They spread the parts on the kitchen table, pushing aside the salt and pepper shakers. My mother made them café con leche, her movements reverent around this new, fragile connection. The crisis point came on a perfect spring Saturday. Ben and I had a whole day planned: farmer's market, a walk in the park, maybe a movie. It was our first real date in months. As we were lacing our shoes, Ben's work phone blared its specific alarming tone. He went pale. "That's the highest alert," he said. He had to go. Not in 20 minutes, now. Something in me broke. "No," I said, my voice quiet but clear. "Sophia, you don't understand. I understand that this card is eating our life. I understand that my family spent 18 years orbiting one heart, and now I'm losing my husband to a piece of plastic. What about our heart, Ben? What about this family we're trying to be?" I was crying, ugly and shaking. Ben stood frozen, the phone still screaming in his hand. He looked from me to the phone, his face a battlefield of duty and love. Then, slowly, he did something he'd never done before. He rejected the call. He silenced the phone, walked to his wallet, took out his government ID, and placed it on our oak table. It landed with a definitive plastic tap. "You're right," he said, his voice rough. "But it's not the card, it's me. I thought I had to be the provider, the rock. After seeing what your family went through, I thought I had to be perfect, unbreakable. This job, this card, it felt like proof I was solid." We talked for hours. We cried. We held each other. We talked about scale, about the life and death scale of Leo's childhood and the soul and heart scale of our marriage. Both were valid. Both required protection. On Monday, Ben went to his superiors. He didn't quit. He negotiated. He explained he needed boundaries to protect a different kind of critical infrastructure, his home. To my shock and his, they listened. The world didn't end. He was assigned a deputy for crisis rotations. The sacred ID card remained, but its power was checked. The following Sunday, we arrived at my parents' house bearing ingredients, not a finished dish. Ben had proposed a new ritual, family cooking lab. No one was the patient, no one was the breadwinner. We were just cooks. That day, we made homemade pizza. My father, with his mechanic's precision, arranged the pepperoni in concentric circles. My mother fretted over the sauce, adding a pinch of sugar, then a dash of oregano. Leo was in charge of cheese, grating a mountain of mozzarella with intense focus. Ben and I kneaded the dough, our hands covered in flour, pushing and folding in a silent, synchronized dance. The kitchen was a beautiful mess. Flour dusted the floor like snow, tomato sauce splattered the stove. The radio was on, and my father, impulsively, pulled my mother into a slow, swaying dance by the sink. She laughed, a sound so light and free, it made my heart stutter. Leo snapped a picture with his phone, grinning. As we gathered around the table to eat our lopsided, blistery, glorious creations, the late afternoon sun slanted through the window, catching the dust motes and turning them to gold. I looked around, at my father's tapping ring, at my mother's flour-smudged cheek, at Leo, eagerly taking a huge bite and giving Ben a thumbs up, at Ben, his hand finding mine under the table, his thumb brushing my knuckle, his presence complete, unclaimed by any other world. The ID card had changed everything. It had forced us to name the silent economies of our families, the economy of medical scarcity, the economy of professional demand. It had forced us to choose each other, consciously, out loud. In doing so, it didn't break us away from my first family, it wove Ben deeper into its fabric, not as a supporter of its narrative, but as a co-author of its next chapter. My family gave my brother everything, a lifetime of devotion, a fortress of care. And my husband's ID, that small dictator of time, gave us everything too. The fierce, necessary understanding that every heart at this table, the mended, the weary, the hopeful, the strong, needed its own kind of sustenance, and that the most resilient thing we could ever build was not a wall against the world, but a table, ever expanding within it. The pizza was a little salty, and the crust was burnt on one side. It was the best meal I'd ever tasted.